Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's President Draupadi Murmu holds talks with her Malawian counterpart Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera. Both countries signed 4 MOUs. Chief negotiator of Hamas confirms death of group's leader Yahya Sinwar. US President Joe Biden says death of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar was a moment of justice and an opportunity to seek a path to peace in Gaza.
I told the Prime Minister of Israel yesterday, let's also make this moment an opportunity to seek a path to peace, a better future in Gaza without Hamas.
India's President Draupadi Murmu is in Malawi as part of her 3 African nations visit. The President held bilateral meeting with her Malawi counterpart Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera with a focus on issues to improve trade and economic activities between the 2 countries. 4 MOUs have been signed between India and Malawi following bilateral and delegation level talks in the following sectors, and these are cooperation in art and culture, sports cooperation, cooperation on youth matters and pharmacopoeia cooperation.
Following the bilateral talks, both the leaders witnessed the signing and exchanging of 4 memorandums of understanding in the fields of art and culture, cooperation on youth matters, sports cooperation, and pharmacopoeia cooperation. Following the signing of these 4 MOUs, the 2 leaders also witnessed the symbolic handing over of 1,000 metric tons of rice and the Babatron cancer treating machine to Malawi. Both these are gifts as a goodwill gesture from India to Malawi.
Earlier in the day, President visited the National War Memorial of Malawi and laid wreath there. The war memorial was built in honor of soldiers and civilians who lost their lives in First and Second World Wars. The President also visited the Kamuzu Mausoleum and the resting place of first President, founder and father of Malawian Dr. Hastings Kamuzu Banda. India's Ministry of External Affairs held a media briefing on the significance of President Draupadi Murmu's visit to Malawi and what transpired from the high-level exchanges that happened during the visit. The MEA termed President of India's Malawi visit as historic, as it is first ever visit by an Indian president in 60 years. The MEA briefing outlined the significance of India-Malawi relations.
This is a historic visit, as it is the first ever visit by the President of India to Malawi in the last 60 years since the establishment of diplomatic relations between the 2 countries. India was one of the first countries to establish diplomatic relations with Malawi soon after the country's independence in 1964. India and Malawi share a cordial and friendly relationship reinforced by strong people-to-people ties which span over 140 years. Malawi remains one of our special partners in Africa, and India has strong development partnership with Malawi. It is in this context that the visit of the Honorable President assumes great significance. Coincidentally, this year also marks the 60th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between our 2 countries. I must add here that our people-to-people ties predate our official relations and go back over a century.
US President Joe Biden is in Berlin to discuss Russia-Ukraine conflict with key European partners. Biden was greeted with military honors as he began his visit on Friday. German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier accorded a grand welcome to the US President. Both leaders discussed support for Ukraine and the de-escalation of conflict in West Asia. Biden thanked Germany for its support to Ukraine. The United States and Germany are Ukraine's top military and financial backers.
I also want to recognize Germany's decision to spend 2% of your gross domestic product on defense. Please keep it up because it matters. Our alliance with Germany extends far beyond Ukraine and Europe. It's global.
US President Biden received Germany's highest Order of Merit in a ceremony. German President awarded the highest Order of Merit for services to transatlantic ties to Biden. Thanking his counterpart, Joe Biden said he is overwhelmed and honored to receive the award. US President Joe Biden was welcomed by German Chancellor Olaf Scholz at the German Chancellery. Biden called on Ukraine's allies to maintain their resolve and support Kyiv going into a tough winter. US President Joe Biden says that the death of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar is a moment of justice and an opportunity to seek a path to peace in Gaza. He said he told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to also make his moment an opportunity to seek a path to peace, a better future in Gaza without Hamas.
The death of the leader of Hamas represents a moment of justice. He had the blood of Americans and Israelis, Palestinians and Germans and so many others on his hands. I told the Prime Minister of Israel yesterday, let's also make this moment an opportunity to seek a path to peace, a better future in Gaza without Hamas.
Deputy Gaza Hamas Chief Khalil Al-Haya has confirmed that Hamas Chief Yahya Sinwar was killed in Israel combat. Sinwar's death, which follows Israeli assassinations of other Hamas leaders and commanders, will deal a huge blow to the Islamist group, which has faced relentless airstrikes since it attacked Israel on October 7, 2023. It also dragged about 250 people back to Gaza, creating a hostage crisis for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's far-right government, which has vowed to eliminate Hamas. On to the other conflict raging in Ukraine. Kyiv on Friday claimed to have shot down 80 of the 135 Russian drones. The Russian Defense Ministry hit several Ukrainian targets, including drone warehouse, ammunition depots, and energy infrastructure of military enterprises, and shut down Ukraine's air defense system and several rockets and drones. Russia also repelled an attack by Ukraine in Kursk region and targeted Ukraine's armored vehicles and multiple rocket launchers. Meanwhile, Russia has claimed control over one more settlement in eastern Ukraine. NATO defense ministers gathered in Brussels for second day of the summit on Friday. The meeting was held under the new NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. The leaders discussed continuing military aid to Ukraine. After chairing his first NATO defense ministers meeting, NATO chief Mark Rutte condemned Putin's increasingly irresponsible rhetoric.
Russia remains the most significant and direct threat to the security of the Allies. And Putin is resorting to increasingly irresponsible rhetoric. Moscow may be loud, but NATO is strong.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and NATO chief Mark Rutte presented a unified front in Brussels that followed Kyiv's pitch for victory to EU leaders and NATO defense ministers. Mark Rutte said NATO members will not lose their shared will to support Ukraine, and Russian President Vladimir Putin would be wrong to think otherwise. Zelensky reminded his allies that some commitments made at the NATO summit in July were still waiting to be fulfilled.
Strengthening of Ukraine, it's not only depending on the weapon, this kind or that kind, it's depending on the will. If our partners will not lose their unity, we will not lose.
Violence and chaos grip Pakistan's Punjab province as protests erupt following the alleged assault of a college student. From Lahore to Rawalpindi, students demanded justice, accusing authorities of a cover-up while tensions escalate amidst growing political unrest. DD India's Tripti Tripathi with this report.
These streets tell us a story of fear and anger. Chaos erupted in Lahore as news of a brutal rape on a college student sent shockwaves across the city. What started as a gathering at the gates of Punjab College spiraled into a violence. Flames engulfed the parking lot, windows shattered, and protesters armed with iron rods and clubs surged throughout the campus. The director of Punjab Group of Colleges, the institution at the center of these accusations, has outright denied the incident, fueling public outrage.
Even the most parking lots have cameras, yet they didn't. Was a parking lot that poorly equipped? They had cameras and all the evidence, but they are hiding it. They have bribed government and top officials to cover up the truth, just to protect their institution's reputation.
The unrest did not stop in Lahore. It spread like wildfire across Punjab, from major institutions in Lahore to the streets of Rawalpindi. Anger mounted as accusations of a cover-up deepened, pushing students in Rawalpindi on the streets. Over 380 were arrested as police cracked down on demonstrators with tear gas and gunfire.
Information isn't going viral on social media without reason. We are holding a peaceful protest, but the police have mistreated us, using tear gas and even opening fire. Why did they do this? We are standing up for rights and seeking justice.
In response, the authorities ordered the immediate closure of all educational institutions in Punjab, affecting approximately 26 million of students. Public gatherings have been banned across the province, tightening the government's grip on any further unrest. But this is just one piece of the jigsaw puzzle. Pakistan's streets are not only echoing cries of social injustice, but also the rumblings of political warfare. Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, led by former Prime Minister Imran Khan, is staging nationwide protests against the proposed constitutional changes and his controversial arrest. With demonstrations sweeping the country, the party is sending a clear message: the constitution will not be altered. Tripti Tripathi for DD India.
In Bangladesh, thousands of devotees congregated at the tomb of mystic Saint Lalan Shah on his 134th death anniversary. Devotees paid their respect to the great saint who spread the message of humanity through his songs and philosophy. Saint Lalan Shah is revered as the great mystic saint, philosopher and social reformer of his time. The gold price in Nepal has reached an all-time high in the domestic market on Friday. According to Nepal's Federation of Gold and Silver Dealers Association, the price of hallmark gold has climbed by Rs 2,000 and touched Rs 164,400 on Friday. A group of Colombian Navy divers cleaned up the waters of Gorgona National Natural Park, an island in the Pacific Ocean. The divers have removed about 40 tons of waste this year alone, a lot of which has been accumulating in Gorgona's facilities for more than 4 years. In a tragic incident, a bus rolled over in the central province of Aksaray in Turkey on Friday, claiming 6 lives. Around 25 people were injured in the accident. The injured were given medical help. An investigation is underway to determine the cause of the accident. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live, we tell you all about how the atmosphere is in the United States ahead of the presidential elections. India and day 3 at 231 for 3 against New Zealand in first test at M. Chinnaswamy Stadium. You're watching DD Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Russia from 22nd to 23rd of October 2024 at the invitation of Russian President Vladimir Putin to attend the 16th BRICS summit to be held in Kazan under the chairmanship of Russia. The summit, themed Strengthening Multilateralism for Just Global Development and Security, will provide an important platform for leaders to discuss key global issues. The summit will offer a valuable opportunity to assess the progress of initiatives launched by BRICS and to identify potential areas for future collaboration. During his visit, the Prime Minister Modi is also expected to hold bilateral meetings with his counterparts from BRICS member countries and invited leaders in Russia. Ahead of the BRICS summit, Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday said the fast growing of the developed nations of BRICS group will generate most of the global economic growth in the coming years.
BRICS is already playing a remarkable role in today's global economy, but obviously this role will also be increasing tomorrow. The countries in our association are essentially the drivers of global economic growth. In the foreseeable future, BRICS will generate the main increase in the global GDP.
In the USA, all attention is focused on the high-stakes battle between Vice President and Democratic nominee Kamala Harris and former President and Republican nominee Donald Trump on November 5th. Polls show that the presidential race remains extremely close. As the poll date nears, the campaign trail also heats up. Both Trump and Harris are engaged in last-moment campaigning and canvassing to ensure their victory in the presidential race. Here's more in this report.
With the U.S. presidential election just over 2 weeks away, the campaigns for Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris and the Republican nominee Donald Trump are going into overdrive. Two bigwigs running for the White House. They're engaged in attacks and counterattacks and making every effort to woo the voters. Republican Trump threw jabs at his political rivals while touching upon his own legal troubles in a speech at a Catholic fundraising event on Thursday.
If she does any worse in the polls, they're going to bring him back again, I think. Chuck, he's going to do it. He's the one that got him out. That's the guy. Much more so than Crazy Nancy, I will tell you. Because I know him. He did it. Joe has almost disappeared from view. The only way he could be seen less is if he had a show on CNN. They had nothing. They've got nothing. Fake news, right? Fake.
During a campaign event in La Crosse in Wisconsin, Democrat Kamala Harris lambasted the former President Donald Trump for calling January 6th Capitol attack a day of love and said that the U.S. election is going to be a tight race until the very end.
What did Donald Trump say last night about January 6th? He called it a, quote, a day of love. But it points out something that everyone here knows. The American people are exhausted with his gaslighting. This is going to be a tight race until the very end. Look, we are the underdog, and that's why we are, and I am campaigning to earn every single vote, because I intend to be a president for all Americans.
Democrat Kamala Harris will campaign for the first time with Barack Obama and Michelle Obama in separate events next week, hoping to inject some political star power in the final dash to Election Day in November. The former president and his wife remain immensely popular with the Democratic base and are expected to be effective closers in the final stretch of a campaign relying on turnout from loyal Democrats in states where victory margins are thin.
I'ma keep on running 'cause
Billionaire Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who has donated nearly $75 million to Trump-aligned groups, hit the campaign trail in Pennsylvania on Thursday, mobilizing Trump voters.
And the reason I'm here in person is because Pennsylvania is so important to the future of the world. You show what matters by your actions, not your words. And my actions are, I'm here, I'm in Pennsylvania.
Meanwhile, strong early voting took place in North Carolina, just weeks after Hurricane Helene left some residents without power, running water and phone service. North Carolina could be crucial in determining a winner in the US presidential race, as its voting preferences could swing either way. Polls show a very tight race, with a handful of swing states likely to determine the winner, as Trump and Harris are in a dead heat in North Carolina. Raghav Kumar Jha's report, DD India.
The Cricket Association of Nepal has appointed Prabuddha Dasanaike as the mentor for the Nepali team participating in the ICC World Cricket League 2, which will be held in the US. The triangular series will take place from October 25 to November 4th, featuring the host nation Nepal and Scotland. Nepal's schedule includes its first match against the USA on October 27, followed by a match against Scotland on October 29 and a rematch against the USA on November 2nd. The final match will be against Scotland on November 4th. India ended day 3 at 231 runs for the loss of 3 wickets, trailing by 125 runs in the first test match against New Zealand in Bengaluru. Sarfaraz Khan and Virat Kohli led India's fight back. Kohli smashed his 31st half-century, scoring 70 runs before losing his wicket to Glenn Phillips. Sarfaraz Khan remained unbeaten on 70 runs going into day 4. Earlier, Rachin Ravindra's powerful knock propelled New Zealand to 402. Tim Southee also added a quick 65 runs to add salt to wound. For India, Kuldeep Yadav and Ravindra Jadeja bagged 3 wickets each, with Siraj taking 2 and Bumrah and Kuldeep scalping 1 each. Well, it was not an outing that England would have expected for themselves, as they played and levelled the current series in the ongoing match in Multan. Here's more.
Pakistan ended their 11-match winless streak at home, levelling the series 1-1 against England in Multan on Friday. With a decisive victory by 152 runs, Noman Ali and Sajid Khan led the way, taking all 20 wickets in the test match. Pakistan cricket selectors showed confidence in uncapped players Hasibullah, Mehran Mumtaz and Kamran Ghulam, who delivered impressive performances. Debutant Kamran scored a century and added crucial 26 runs, while Noman Ali and Sajid Khan's combined efforts, taking key wickets including Joe Root and Ben Duckett in the first innings, sparked a remarkable turnaround. For Team England, Harry Brook scored an astonishing 317 and Joe Root contributed a brilliant 262 in the first test, surpassing Alistair Cook's England test record. Their dismissals marked the turning point in England's defeat. Despite only managing 221 in the second innings, the 291 target on a challenging pitch proved too steep for England. The third and the final test will take place in Rawalpindi from October 24 to determine the series winner. Sports Desk, DD India.
Tennis legend Rafael Nadal, who announced his retirement a week ago, is playing his last exhibition tournament at Riyadh and is all set to face Djokovic in the event. Speaking on his participation and possibilities of representing his side at the Davis Cup, Nadal said he will continue to support his team. Here's more.
With an illustrious career coming to an end, Rafael Nadal on Thursday said he feels he made the right decision on his retirement as he looks forward to one final hurrah at next month's Davis Cup finals in Malaga. After losing to Spanish compatriot Carlos Alcaraz by 6-3, 6-3 at the Six Kings Slam exhibition in Riyadh on Thursday, the former world number 1 appeared to leave some doubt as to if he will be fit for the Davis Cup, saying he would play if he could help his team.
I made the decision a few time ago. Take some time, but after Olympics, I give myself a few weeks to think, and I realized that I answered the questions that I needed to answer to myself to make the decision that I feel is the right decision for me today. And if I'm going to be ready for the Davis Cup or not, emotionally, I'm sure I will be ready.
The Davis Cup is down to the final 8 and Spain will face the Netherlands on the 19th of November. The final will be played on the 24th of November. But before the Davis Cup, Nadal has what will most likely be his last ever professional matchup against longtime rival Novak Djokovic.
As I said before, I have not much pressure here. I just trying to have fun, to enjoy every moment on court. I know I'm going to play against players that they are in much better shape than me because they are on the professional tour and winning tournaments.
With 22 Grand Slam titles in the bag, including a record 14 French Open titles, Nadal announced last week that he would hang up his racket after the international team event. Sports Desk, DD India.
That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.